Good afternoon, guys. Save that rust bucket, right? So here's the work on the 69 fastback. Today we got some metal to start some of the bracing. So I'm going to show you the bracing real quick. Some of the details are on our YouTube channel, Save That Rust Bucket, as we are saving a 69 Mustang fastback and also a 59 Impala. So here's the... laughing out loud, I guess. But just when you think it can't get any worse, this is what I just discovered on the 69 fastback. So I don't know if you guys could make it out, but the roof, obviously because of all the stress that has been on it because of the rocker panel being rotted out and the way that they dragged it out, got to lift up the roof a little bit, fix this, and then weld it, and then repair this piece because that's gonna eventually go bad. So same thing on both sides. Laughing out loud, I guess. But just when you think it can't get any worse, this is what I just discovered on the 69 fastback. So I don't know if you guys could make it out, but the roof, obviously because of all the stress that has been on it because of the rocker panel being rotted out and the way that they dragged it out, got to lift up the roof a little bit, fix this, and then weld it, and then repair this piece because that's gonna eventually go bad. So same thing on both sides. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So gonna put some work into the 69 Mustang fastback today, and just wanted to let you know what the game plan is for today. Hopefully get a lot of good progress on it, but I did notice a couple of things that have me scratching my head, not in a manner that I can't achieve it, but just something that is kind of interesting. You guys what I am talking about, and it's gonna be this bracket right here, or this what they call the door latch brace. So this is what the quarter panel, right, and then the roof, obviously it's all connected, welds onto to join the rocker panel. And as you can see right here, it's split. So literally anytime we move the car, this will bounce around and cause the car to sag. So need to redo that piece and get the roof a little bit more concrete, I guess. And then I don't know if you could make it out here, but the same thing over here. As you can see, the crack. And then if my camera could focus a little bit better. But yeah, so I mean you could kind of make it out, but not too clearly. So in order to fix that, we're gonna have to lift the roof up, probably get the hoist on it. But at first things first, we're gonna have to brace it so that way there isn't any more stress added on the car. And of course there's a lot of missing pieces back here that structurally would make it a little bit more sound, but yeah, that's the way it goes, unfortunately, with the project. So today we're going to be also making these guys, and this joins the taillight panel and the quarter panel. It's like an extra brace for it, and then gonna cut out these old pieces, and this will be fabbing, so it should be some interesting stuff on that. Creating a template and then cutting it, actually drawing it onto the metal and then cutting the metal out and then shaping it. So that's the plan for today. Hopefully we get some good progress and no rain, and hopefully it doesn't get too hot. So alright guys, see you in a bit. Alright guys, so starting to make the template for the back tail light panel brace that goes onto the quarter panel. And pretty much what you're going to need is either some very thin flexible cardboard, that way you can kind of mimic the shape that you're going to be copying. For example, this one, I took it off a 12-pack of some beverage, and all you're doing is pretty much cutting it down to the size first, and then you start pretty much putting some pressure on it. And I almost got this one perfect, so you can kind of see where the start of the patch is going to be at, or the new piece I should say. And then over here, what I'm going to do is add another thin strip of cardboard, and then pretty much make this little piece right here. So in the end, I mean, it does take some time, but what you want to do is get it as close as possible to the shape, because you are going to be grinding and cutting as you go. So that's going to be the first step on making this this one side, which is the passenger side that I'm working on, and then I'll make the driver's side. So just showing you the progress, guys. It takes some time, so make sure you have the patience for it, because you do want it to fit pretty snug, and obviously you don't want to be modifying it a lot as you go along. Alright guys, so thanks to Miguel for getting us some metal. So now what we're going to do is we are going to cut off the center section of the floor and then weld the bracing like I was talking about. And then at that point we're going to have to support the roof. So we're going to get to work. Alright guys, so thanks to Miguel for getting us some metal. So now what we're going to do is we are going to cut off the center section of the floor and then weld the bracing like I was talking about. And then at that point we're going to have to support the roof. So we're going to get to work. Alright guys, just to let you know, so we got some steel thanks to Miguel. We are going to start cutting the board on the 69 fastback. So I'm going to start off cutting the driver's side and then move on to the passenger side. So alright, I will start cutting in a little bit and then we'll go from there. Alright, let me get my gloves on and then my safety glasses, and we'll get to cutting. Alright guys, so on to the passenger side. Almost done with the cutting of it. But so I already got the tunnel pretty much free. I just had this little thankfully the seatbelt is still on there. Just kidding. Alright, so I'm gonna just finish the driver's side. I wasn't able to get to it all the way, so I just got a little bit more to go, and then the rest of the floor should come out. I already got most of the tunnel already free, so I'm gonna finish cutting that side. Alright guys, so pretty much finished the battle with the floor pan, or the rest of the floor that was on there. So here we go. Here's the first. There you go guys. So that is the floor that was on the car. And what I'm going to do now is I am going to measure from rocker panel to rocker panel and put a brace from here to there. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. And let's get to it. Alright guys, so pretty much going to go from the inside of the frame rail, or rocker panel I should say, and let's go to another one. It looks like we are at 53 3/4. 53.5. And then go over here, pops. Wherever. Then 53 3/4. So 53.5 and 53 3/4. So we're gonna make two long bars off of these guys. So we're gonna measure 53.5, cut it, and 53 3/4. Alright guys, good. So we're going to start to cut this beam. One thing that I have learned over the years is make sure you take into account the size of your cutting wheel and the line. So don't cut exactly on the line, because you will end up being a little bit shorter than what you originally wanted. So I'm going to cut in between these marks right here, the furthest one and then the lowest one. So let's get those sparks flying, right? Alright guys, so that's pretty much what we wanted to do. I'm going to have to obviously weld it and then get another one in the front, and then cut off that rear torque box, place one over there, and then get another one on the rockers, or on the wheel housings, pardon me. Alright, so I'm going to get to measuring and cutting and then welding it. Alright guys, so cleaned up the rocker a little bit so I could weld this bar in place. Had to ratchet the rocker in a little bit more. That way it's tighter, and obviously it's getting back to its original positioning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot some welds on this. I'm going to tack it first and then draw a nice strong bead on it. Let's see if I can capture the welding. It's going to be kind of tricky though. So I'm positioning it a little bit bad, guys. I'm going to finish welding it up and then I will resume the video. So it's going to have to take 2 minutes. Sorry guys. So I got one beam welded in place. Obviously we definitely got to make sure that we prep the surface correctly. When it's dirty, it's not going to catch on correctly, but I did get some decent spot welds on there. So we'll just remove this strap and hopefully everything goes well. So alright, so good thing about it is the car didn't fall apart, but that's to be expected. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to weld the brace from here to here, and I'm going to get on that and then in the middle of the wheel housing. Alright guys, see you in a bit. Alright guys, so what we're going to do now is we're going to raise the back quarter section so we can get the front part of the rocker panel. Remember how I showed you guys in the previous video where this was off? So what we're going to do is we're going to use the engine hoist and lift it up. And then we are going to, once it is at the point that it needs to be, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a brace from the wheel housing to the other wheel housing, and that way it won't move. And then we'll also create that that repair patch for this section right here. So what we want is for this guy to drop a little bit more. Actually, we're gonna have to raise it about another maybe 3 good pumps, and then that way this will be a little bit more leveled where it's got to be. So we're going by the shape or the contour of the old metal as to where the original bottom flange was at. Alright guys, so this is where we got it at right now. What I'm going to do is I am just going to grab a piece of metal, clean this up, and then bridge it. That way it's stable and it won't move as much. I'm also going to weld the braces like we talked about on the wheel housings. So that way this part is pretty much straight for the most part. I'm going to lower it a little bit just to get this a little bit more tighter. But those are going to be the first steps, and then we're going to obviously make this piece right here. Okay guys, so just going to show you what what I've been able to do to remedy that sag on the passenger side. So what I did, I just made a strip of metal, which is just to brace it, and I also put one on the inside just to get some back. But this is what it looks like. obviously gonna have to make a patch for this, so I just want the this to not move as much anymore. So I also did another one over here, and I'm gonna show you what I'm doing on the other side. And this is also, I can weld that brace in the rocker. So what I'm doing is I'm lifting it by the latch, and then getting this part a little bit higher. So before it was a little bit more sunken in, but now it's almost to where it's got to be. So I'm just gonna give it another hoist or another whatever push of the jack, and hopefully it'll lift up that little 1/16, and then I'm just gonna weld it for now, just spot weld it. And then again, I'm gonna make this template and make a piece for it. So as you can see, look at the way the quarter panel was pushed up. All right, guys. So just showing you the progress that's going on. Yeah, there you go. All right, guys. Here's an update. Probably hour number 2, maybe. I don't even know anymore. But so I was able to weld the braces. I got the wheel housing welded on. Got the braces for the door jamb, and the back where the trunk area is at, and also the wheel housing. So I'm gonna show you a quick tacked in place. I did throw some solid beads on there, but for the most part, this is what we are looking at. And I'm gonna do an X on there so that way the car doesn't move. And also I will be able to take off those torque boxes, or remaining of the torque boxes. I marked where the original ones were at, but I still have to measure and make sure that we are in good shape from that. So here's what it looks like from the back end. I'm gonna start cutting the back, and because the bumper is really weighing down on this old quarter panel, and it's a lot of weight. I mean, it just pushes down on it so much. And then from there, we'll be able to start straightening out the inner wheel housing drop-offs, or drop-offs of the wheel housing and the inner of the quarter, and start cutting it up to where we're gonna replace it. So my thing is, I don't want to replace all the quarter panel because for the most part it's not going to be needed, but we are going to have to straighten out a lot of things and make some panels, such as the rear of the rocker panel. So that's where we're at right now. This side I still have to finish that one brace that I was talking about, but other than that, that's where we're at. So there are going to be bars that are going to go from here to that corner over there, and then vice versa that way. All right guys, so 2 hours of working on the car, a lot of hours cutting the metal and making sure that it fits right, but that's where we're at. Good afternoon, guys. Save that rust bucket, right? So here's the work on the 69 fastback. Today we got some metal to start some of the bracing, so I'm going to show you the bracing real quick. Some of the details are on our YouTube channel, Save That Rust Bucket, as we are saving a 69 Mustang fastback and also a 59 Impala. So here's the... Alright guys, so even more headaches, I should say, before we actually get the 69 onto the floor and into the garage. So what we got to do is figure out what we're going to do with the front end. I don't want the front end, and I'm going to switch the camera angle. I don't want the front end to collapse on us, meaning I don't want it to just sag down and break. And we know that the frame rails are very fragile, because if you could see on that end over there where, I don't know if you can make it out, but it's got this big hole. And then on this one, you can see where underneath the shock tower, it's actually crunched and moving itself outward, or inward, I should say. So what I'm going to try to do, or what we're going to try to do, is jack the car up and then try to use this guy as a brace on the shock towers and make sure that that is leveled. And what we're going to do is hopefully keep the integrity of the height and levelness of the car, and then remove the frame rails later on though. But for now, what we're going to do is just make sure that this survives while we lower the car. And I mean, it takes a lot of abuse with the jack and all that stuff. So that's what we're planning on doing, and we're going to see if we can make it work. Alright guys, so to conclude the video, what do we accomplish today? Well, it might not seem like a lot, but it definitely was a lot of work. I could tell you that. I mean, yeah, true, it's just cutting metal, measuring metal, cutting metal, pardon me, and obviously shaping it, welding it, but it is substantial. So on the good side, end up happening, guys. So what we're going to do is we are going to finish the bracing tomorrow, which, like I was saying, running those X's along it, and then weld the X from here to there, And what I want to do is start test fitting the frame rail so that way the rocker panel will get more stabilized. Obviously I got to cut off that old guy right there, and that one right there, that guy right there, that old rear frame rail. That way I can weld the new one on there, but we're gonna have to clean up all that rust. And if we have to create a back piece of the rear rocker panel, that shouldn't be a big deal, because for the most part it's fairly a straight piece, which isn't too bad, and we have metal for that. So tomorrow we're going to be finishing up the bracing, straightening up this quarter panel, which is crazy, and then yeah, we'll start straightening up all this stuff that's in here, like this guy right here, the tail end of the wheel housing, on this side, and then the rocker panel right there, and then the rocker panel right over there where the seatbelt buckle is hanging. And then that way we will be able to lower the car on its own or on skates and then wheel it into the garage. So a lot more work to do. There's some of the straightening out, just to see where you're at from a piece standpoint, what you can save, what you can't save, and obviously what is stressed out you definitely want to replace, because now is the time to do it. So thank you guys for watching, and